This is ASS Breaking News.
Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar!
Good evening. I'm ASS News correspondent Brock Jurgensen, coming to you live from our comfy studio in Washington, D.C. Joining me this evening, we actually have one of the Associated Press's reporters out in the field in Gaza. He is actually Brian Stelter's little brother. It's actually his shorter brother, Gary Stelter. Gary, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Gary, first of all, what were you doing? You were obviously you were near the building. You're in Gaza. That building that the AP, the Associated Press, had an office in, ended up getting bombed. Now, my first question to you: what is the situation like on the ground right now?
Okay, so first of all, I just want to make it crystal clear that we at AP News do not share buildings and office spaces with Hamas. No way, no how. We had no idea.
But
we had no idea that.
Is everything okay?
No, we're okay. It was just my cameraman behind me. He's just working the camera really hard right now.
Yeah. I was just about to ask about that. He is obviously he seems to be lining up a shot pretty nicely there. What does he have his camera focused on?
Yes, sir. Arafat has a very good aim when it comes to the camera focus. He's just focusing on the Israelis bombing buildings right now. That's what he's getting images of.
Okay, so obviously the AP has come under fire. No pun intended, of course, from other outlets because the Associated Press supposedly was renting office space in the same building as Hamas, which is the reason why the Israeli Defense Forces bombed it. Now, before we get into all of that, where were you when the building was bombed and destroyed?
So, like every journalist does on their off time, I was getting pegged by Yasmina, my here in Gaza girlfriend, when I got a call from our office manager saying that we needed to rush up and make sure we got all of our stuff because for some odd reason, nothing to do with what's happening behind me right now, or the fact that the Israelis were going to come in and destroy the building.
Mm-hmm.
So I rushed in to get my valuables and my most precious possession.
So what did you salvage? Were you able to salvage anything?
I was able to get Dan's mom's favorite brand of condoms. Extra sensitive for that booty hole.
And what are the are those extra small?
Yes.
Well, moving on. Well, I'm very glad. Obviously, you're able to get your most prized possession. But before we let you go, we got to ask a couple more questions. First of all, what has been the reporting? What's the reporting been like in Gaza, just in general? Besides, obviously, this latest kerfuffle.
So we journalists are the main victims in all of this, and I want this to be clear: we are the true victims out of this. From this aggression from Israel that has nothing to do with the fact that there are that Yasser is behind me shooting great shots of Gaza right now. Has nothing to do with that.
Now, obviously looking on the horizon because you no longer have a place to work, where do you think you're going to go next?
Well, hopefully I could just go work where there are other Jew haters, like over in the New York Times or over at CNN.
What?
No, that's not what I meant.
You want to work with your brother? That's nice.
Right.
He must be towering over you. That's got to be pretty intimidating, right?
It's those boobs really hit my head.
Well, Gary Stelter, thank you so much for joining us. And Habibis, welcome to another episode of the Habibi Power Hour.
Dr. Fauci, I believe you have testified that you didn't give any money to the Wuhan lab to conduct gain function research. Is that right?
That is correct. It will not happen again. It was a mistake.
All these yokels are having kids go in school. How crazy are these people, right? The crazy people are the ones that are vaccinated, still wearing 6 masks in New York City. I mean, to be honest with you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
What's going on, Habibis? I'm Siraj Hashmi.
I'm Jay Kobbe.
And we're the Habibi Bros. Welcome to another episode of Habibi Power Hour. There we go. And it's officially Habibi Boy Summer. What's going on, y'all? We are back. It's been a bit of a schlep these last few weeks. I have said it on my Twitch streams. I've said it on Twitter. I want to obviously thank all of you for your prayers and continued support. For those of you who are not aware, I had 2 deaths in the family over the last couple of weeks. And while they were tough, and I tried to be there for the family, I obviously couldn't have done it without your support. So thank you all for your understanding and your patience. And I want to just say I love all of you, but especially you, Jay, for being so understanding and, just letting me be able to be with family at a difficult time.
Absolutely,
So,
Habibi, of course.
Cheers, Habibi.
Salud.
Salud.
I'm there for you essentially 100% of the time.
Essentially 100%. There we go.
That's a pretty
Hey,
tall glass of Angel Lindsay. I like how prepared you are for tonight.
So I feel bad because we had a lot of episodes planned over the last few weeks, and we had planned it out so that in the lead up to Habibi week. But on the bright side, I think we actually do have this. Thanks to our buddy Anang, we actually got Habibi Boy Summer coming up.
Yes, sir. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, so that's pretty fun. That's what's happening. So Habibi week is going to be the week of June 9th, June 9/6/9. That is the same day that we, Jay and I, and Ern are going to be doing our 69th episode of Habibi Power Hour. Very excited about that. And if you are around that week, we are going to do a Habibi happy hour. So if you're in the DC area, come through. We're going to make more. Obviously, you're going to bring more details coming forth. But if you haven't already, go ahead and join our Discord server. That's where you'll probably be better up to date on everything that's going on. And you'll get to come hang out and hang with the Habibi Bros. So that will likely be on Friday, June 11th, if I'm not mistaken. Now I know some of you observe Shabbat. So in that case, we might be doing something on Thursday, June 10th as well. So just stay up. We'll keep you posted. Very excited about that. Obviously, as things are sort of finally opening back up, in the sense that people aren't wearing masks and people are actually being more comfortable around each other. I'm pretty excited that this is actually happening. It all seems to be coming together. So, essentially.
100%.
Yeah. So, man, Jay, have you been following? I mean, there have been a lot of stories that we could cover, and we certainly don't have all the time in the world. So we're going to get into covering some of the most important stories that have happened, at least in the last week or so. And the very first one I got to highlight here is this bit from John Cena. Now, I don't know if you guys have been following it, but John Cena, the writer, TV personality. Did I call him a writer? I meant wrestler. Fuck. He's not a writer. He probably can't even. He doesn't even. Probably can't even put a coherent sentence together. Anyways, John Cena, he actually issued an apology to the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese government for, and I shit you not, calling Taiwan a country. Now, Taiwan, I don't know if I want to go into the full backstory behind this, but as he was promoting the Fast and Furious franchise in the latest installment, F9, he apologized to fans in China after he referred to Taiwan as a country while giving a promotional interview. And obviously he joins a long list of celebrities who have, and companies who have obviously like sort of profusely apologized, groveled, bent the knee, or just kowtowed and caved to their overlords in the Chinese Communist Party. And John Cena, who I didn't know until just this week, speaks fluent Mandarin, and he issued his apology entirely in Mandarin. I'll just give you a quick example.
你好，中国，这是叫西娜。我必须说，现在，在《速度与激情》中，我做很多采访，很多，所以在一个采访，我有一个错误，所有人问我，如果我可以用中文，速度与激情中人给我很多资讯 information， 所以很多采访，很多 information， 我有一个错误，我必须说现在就是很重要，我爱更尊重中国跟中国人，我很。
I don't know why he kept playing it for that long when we don't know what the fuck he's saying.
What I got from that, what he was saying was that I'm John Cena. I'm a big little bitch. I'm a bitch. I'm John Cena. A bitch. A big little bitch. John Cena. My name. I take the cum like this from China, like this from Z, because my name is John Cena. I'm a bitch. I take it like this from President Z. Thank you, Master Z. I'm John Cena, a little bitch.
You can't
That's exactly
see me.
What he said.
You can't see me.
See me because I'm covered in Z-cum. You can't see me because I'm covered in this Z-cum.
She-cum. There you go. All over his face. It actually, his apology even was dunked on by Keith Olbermann, which I never, it's like, I think Daniel Collins, one of the Habibis, was like, he posted that tweet with like the old clickhole tweet, the old clickhole image of the heartbreaking, the worst person you know, made a great point. In which Keith Olbermann says, how shameful, Cena. Taiwan is a country and a democracy. You just apologized to a dictatorship. So, hats off to Keith Olbermann for at least getting that in order. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Jay, like, we have to deal with this shit with like every 6 months, it seems.
Right. It's fucking insane because we have to come to grips and realization. You're a little fuzzy, bro. You got Z-cum on your camera.
Fuzzy.
Wipe it off. We have to come to the realization here in the United States that a lot of our companies are bent over backwards for China. Companies, these news agencies, they lie for China constantly and push out their propaganda for them like it's so easy while they're turning around saying that democracy dies in darkness and shit. Right. There needs to be a huge backlash on these companies, on these journalistic institutions, especially Hollywood, for this shit. How is it that we are sitting here in the United States, allowing China to use American corporations, American media, American Hollywood for movies and shit like that, and use them for propaganda? How do we just sit here and allow that to happen? It makes zero sense. It has nothing to do with capitalism. It has nothing to do with these are free industries. They should do what they want and all this kind of bullshit talk, because China is now is one of the main things one of the only things you can compare to the Holocaust, to a genocide, to Rwanda, to all of these different things. It's what the Chinese are starting to do and are doing to the Uyghur Muslims. And to just sit back and do nothing about it, and also to apologize to the Chinese government like that, there needs to be pushback. There needs to be sanctions on that shit. I mean, imagine John Cena coming up and saying like, Hitler, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Hitler. Hitler, I'm so sorry. Yes, Poland does belong to you. Please, Hitler, I'm so sorry, Hitler. Can you imagine like the backlash on some shit like that? It's insane that when it comes to China, they're just our competitor, and then they're running and yelling about Russia for some reason. Like it's just so stupid. I don't see any benefit from this. Zero benefit from allowing China to take advantage from our corporations and media the way that they do.
Yeah, as the Habibis can already tell, Chinese 5G is already slowing me down as I'm basically operating with two frames per second internet right here, two BPS. Literally the what is it, Mbps? I think it's
Mbps. But it's funny because I made a joke on the Discord server that you're either in Florida or in a Pakistani cave, and honestly, I think you're in either one.
Yeah, it's quite awful, but it's one of those things where it's just like this whole John Cena thing is just another like rung in the ladder of like just simping for China. And there's another story that I just got caught up on relating to Apple, and I feel like really gross about this because obviously I use basically all Apple products. I have an iPad, I have a MacBook, I have an iPhone, all of which suck ass because I can't get decent internet. But basically, the New York Times reported just this past week that that Apple, and this is actually a very well done investigative report, and I encourage everyone to go check it out. But essentially,
100%.
This whole thing is about how Apple seeded entirely, like all of its servers that included personal data of their Chinese clients and customers. They're being run by Chinese state-owned. They're basically run by Chinese state-owned firms, and they, while Apple is trying to sort of like do this balancing act where they're trying to be like woke with like all the injustices with like racial and social injustice here in the United States, they just like bend over backwards. They bend over forwards and just let Winnie the Pooh fuck them in the ass when it comes to basically the everything that they've done for privacy and civil liberties and allowing people to sort of communicate without being impinged by their own government. And they say they do all of this to basically just comply with their laws. But China obviously is an authoritarian state. And so all the laws that they're following are basically censoring their own people. They're surveilling their own people. And Apple just can't do shit about it. And they've gotten Apple to basically work for them. And Tim Cook, who basically led Apple into, kind of gaining a foothold within the Chinese market. I mean, he's the reason why Apple gets a fifth of its revenue from China. So any idea of like decoupling that, like Apple's not going to fucking do it.
Nope.
And so it's really gross and disgusting. It sort of just shows you how much corporations go to placate just the worst, most brutal autocratic regimes in order to make a buck. It's really fucking disgusting.
Right. And the thing is, we need to start being serious about this. In my mind, we really need to be serious about this. We need to boycott the fuck out of China. And we need to sanction the shit out of companies that are doing business with China. Not just sanction, but issue fees like that would make it so unbearably awful to work with China or in China that they have to get out of it. This is the only way that you're going to see any sort of change or any sort of like, you know, something to work with here. This is nothing like we've seen before. This is a regime. This is a country that will imprison the world given the chance to, that will discriminate against every person that they can. I mean, if you think what they're doing to the Uyghurs is bad, just imagine if they were controlling a place like the United States and able to do the same thing to black people, to Hispanics, to anyone who's not Chinese. This is, or
yeah, I mean, we hardly even touched on the whole Uyghur issue just tonight, and we were only focusing on just the actual Chinese oppression of the Chinese government's oppression of their own people.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's insane. And then they want to come around and boycott Georgia because Georgia had a voting bill that allowed for more voting booths, or allowed to give people voting IDs. So they're boycotting Georgia. There you go. There's your wokeness. You're so great. While they're going and authorizing Uyghur Muslims by the millions. It's just this woke game that they play allows us to see how full of shit that they are, and these people need to pay for it. Them, the NBA, the fucking Apple, Microsoft, anyone and everyone, Facebook, Twitter, anyone who does business, who bends over to do business and help the Chinese government oppress their own people and do what they're doing to the Uyghurs, they need to pay for this shit. They really do. It's time we start a war against the corporations that do this shit.
I think it's important, obviously, to understand that, obviously not everybody is educated on every single issue, and I get that. Some people are very passionate about things that are happening within their own space, within their own world. But once you start weighing into other issues like the NBA has, which, ultimately they did not weigh into anything China or Hong Kong or even Uyghur related until the whole Daryl Morey situation happened. Before that, there was never really an expectation to hold anyone within the NBA accountable for that, because that was just like, for them, the cost of doing business with them. But as soon as they started weighing in on it, they threw Daryl Morey under the bus. He had a mea culpa, basically acknowledged that he didn't intend to offend anyone. James Harden, who while he's on the Brooklyn Nets right now, was on the Houston Rockets before, which was the team that Daryl Morey was the general manager for. Even James Harden threw him under the bus and apologized on his behalf, saying we love China. LeBron James said that Daryl Morey was uneducated on the matters that were happening in China. And the whole reason why Daryl Morey tweeted what he did was in support of the pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong, who were protesting an extradition bill that would allow anyone in Hong Kong who's a fugitive to be extradited to mainland China. And so you have that aspect, but another part of all that, and this is where actually Apple kind of comes into play. Apple actually, in addition to what they've done with censoring and surveillance, they have blocked thousands of apps in their app store in their Chinese market. One of which came under scrutiny during the Hong Kong protests of 2019, in which they blocked an app and deactivated it for Hong Kong protesters to track where the police are. So they're actively helping the Chinese Communist Party crack down on these pro-democracy protesters, and they turn over to us with a smile on their face, saying like, "Hey, get with the program. You gotta like respect everyone. You gotta provide equity. You gotta just
freedom
get
for
on
all.
board. And if you don't, you're basically the scourge of society." Like this is doublespeak. They're talking out of both sides of their mouth. And they're double dealing. They don't know what the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. But in this case, Apple does know what the fuck it's doing. It's just that we're finally we're learning it.
Absolutely right. And when you're talking about LeBron saying that the guy wasn't educated, I'm reminded about this tweet, which is so funny. It's like if you ever see LeBron with a book, it's funny because he's always on the first page.
I didn't see that.
And it's so funny because LeBron James is probably the most uneducated piece of shit that's out here right now on a lot of the different issues. He'll just weigh in on whatever is going to make him a buck to say. He doesn't give a fuck about the oppression of people. He doesn't care unless it's going to make him look
I would
good.
say I would,
That's
I look, and this is the thing, I don't like to judge people by, their entire intellect and not having met them. I don't think LeBron James really knows what he's talking about on most things. I think he is obviously he's a genius when it comes to physical movement. And there have been studies about like levels of genius. People would argue that Michael Jordan was a genius in terms of how he was able to move his body. But again, we're talking like actual academia, scholarly stuff. Even just knowing the different nuances within within geopolitics, it's really helpful if for some things, he just knows when to not weigh in. And there's always like that compulsion from a lot of celebrities to speak out on matters on which they know nothing about.
They think they have some sort of authority over it. And the worst part about it is imagine the Hong Kong person that has a LeBron jersey on, watching LeBron say that type of shit.
Yeah. It's disheartening for sure. And, I think the one thing that's probably ruined the impression that maybe I have of a lot of people and, with that saying, like, never meet your idols because they're bound to disappoint you. I'd say Twitter has ruined a lot of it. Twitter has like created an ecosystem in which you can literally say anything about you could say anything about anything. And ultimately, Twitter is only so good at conveying a certain sentiment, which is why I abandon all nuance and just shitpost all day, because there's no point in like weighing seriously on any of these matters, because like I'm going to have a productive academic discussion on, matters of which we're talking about right now on Twitter. It's not going to happen. Right. So I don't know why people continue to operate on that site and expect that they're going to engage in like good nuance and productive discussion, when really like that place is only good for dunking, in my opinion.
No, it really is dunking and joking about things, and also letting the world know how much you like to eat ass.
And essentially
100%.
But this is also very interesting because honestly, Jay, I didn't think we would come to this day. And by come, I mean come all over your face, but here we are. Now, for those of you who have been around for the pandemic, which I'm sure is everyone who's watching right now,
unless maybe you died, like
unless you died midstream, which I'm very sorry about that. Basically, and I shit you not, I posted this last year, February, before it was actually declared a pandemic, in which I write, you, a simp, the coronavirus originated out of nowhere. Me, a galaxy brain genius. The Chinese invented coronavirus and created a pandemic to cause an economic recession to hurt Trump's chances of re-election and get a president with a weaker stance towards China. I wrote that back in February 27, 2020. And that was in reaction to the news that saying, breaking news, we're now in the worst stock market drop since financial crisis in 2008. Just to give you like sort of sense of like where we're at.
Can you go see what I wrote over with Branson Taylor?
Jay, I don't think you can see that because that shit doesn't show up.
Oh, damn.
I know. I'm sorry. In fact, actually, Bruce's tweets are showing up on here. There you go. That was actually supposed to be Gay Patriot Bruce, accountant. RIP in peace. So yeah, I tweeted that thinking, Occam's razor. The simplest solution is oftentimes what the correct one. Isn't that how it goes? And it's looking like this shit's actually turning out to be true. And it's funny because you have a number of outlets, a number of corporate media outlets that had completely dismissed this theory as bunk, as a conspiracy theory. They've called Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton a conspiracy theorist for simply highlighting that the Wuhan Institute of Virology is a level 4 lab in which they do gain of function research on viruses, particularly the coronavirus. And there's a very fascinating, I mean, this is also pretty great because this is what happened last year from Glenn Kessler. Now, let me just give you kind of the rundown here. This is how Glenn Kessler reacted to a tweet from, what's his name? From Ted Cruz. Let me go to it. So it says, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Ted Cruz, well, first of all, Glenn Kessler tweets out, watch this amazing video. Was the new coronavirus accidentally released from a Wuhan lab? It's doubtful. This was tweeted on April 30th of 2020. Okay. And then the quote tweet from Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz from Texas says, amazing. Is definitely right word for this video. WAPO is abandoning all pretenses of journalism to produce Chinese Communist Party propaganda, will be another way to put it. If this reporter submitted this video in the freshman logic class, it wouldn't receive a passing grade. And then let's review the facts. And he goes through sort of 2 minutes. That's way too much. I can't read. Anyways, he tweeted that May 1st of 2020. And then Glenn Kessler quote tweeted Ted Cruz saying, I fear Ted Cruz missed the scientific animation in the video that shows how it is virtually impossible for this virus to jump from the lab, or the many interviews with actual scientists. We deal in facts, and viewers can judge for themselves.
Fuck this guy.
And
fuck this guy. This guy is.
That's the shot. That's the shot. Where's the chaser? Give me the chaser. Where is that?
Get it.
From
Get
Glenn fucking Kessler. Where are you at, Glenn?
Get it.
Hold on. It's coming. Did I not? What the fuck? Oh, God damn it. Anyways, he at least posted this story. You could at least see the headline. It says, timeline, how the Wuhan lab leak theory suddenly became credible.
And it's the same kid.
By Glenn Kessler.
The same fucking dick face. It's the same dick face.
Yeah. So now if you go through the story, I actually will give Glenn props for at least laying it out. Now, I take those props back when I remember that he basically called everyone and everything a conspiracy theorist when this original theory popped out, rather than entertaining that it is a possible theory that has come true. And a lot of it, and I'd say a lot of it is actually tied to this strain that was found in 2012, actually in a cave in which miners, several miners, I think it was 6 miners, not miners like younger than 18. I'm talking about like actual, people digging, those type of miners. Ones that you could have sex with and not get arrested. Of course, you get consent, of course, Jay, right?
All the time.
You have sex with a...
Not 2 backhands and then do what I want. That's not the way I do it.
In any event, so this 2012 strain is nearly identical to the strain that was found in the 2019 SARS-CoV virus. It's an abandoned copper mine, I should point out. It's 96% identical to COVID-19. And that actually happened, that was collected in 2013 and stored and studied at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So there is like the original link right there.
Connection. Right.
Yeah.
That gets directly to it. And I love how he's pretending like they deal in facts when this motherfucker, this piece of fucking garbage, this shit stain that I have on the bottom of my fucking shoe has come out time and time again with absolute garbage articles and garbage fact checking, has the audacity to say some shit like that. This right here is essentially 100 fucking percent.
There we go.
The Washington Post completely and 100%
Essentially.
taking China's word for what was going on and producing it as fact to the American people. These people have completely shown themselves as being nothing but propaganda agents and propaganda agents of China. They are the enemy of the people. They really, really are. If they are producing propaganda for China like this for money, then you have to understand that they are not your friends. They are not going to give you a truthful understanding of what is happening around in the world. They're not here to deal with facts. They're here to deal with narrative. And they want to feed you a false fucking narrative as long as the Republican is saying some shit. If Biden came out and said that they leaked from the lab, you know that motherfucker, Glenn Greensill, is going to go and suck the dick of a fucking bat to make sure it's right. That's what he would have done. But this bitch is going to sit back and just let the Chinese company come out and say the shit that they did. And don't let me even get started on fucking Maggie Haberman, what she had to say on CNN. That was a fucking embarrassment. That was complete bullshit. That was so mind-boggling to me that is what her response was to that. It's like Trump and Pompeo said some shit, but then they didn't want to provide anything to us. Bitch, you're a reporter. You're a fucking journalist. You're not supposed to sit and just wait for them to give you all the fucking answers. If they don't want to give you intel, you're supposed to go and ask your sources, not made up fucking sources that you make up, then the Atlantic makes up, and then the fucking Washington Post makes up. For fuck's sake, man, do your job. They can find a grandmother who posted a Facebook tweet so easily and go and harass them while we have this shit happening in real life that's causing the deaths of hundreds of thousands. Who the fuck did that grandmother kill who shared a fucking meme that showed Hillary as the devil? If anything, it got Hillary's good side.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about Glenn Kessler sucking bat dick. Oh, okay. Anyways, what's interesting about this whole thing is that when it comes to this whole thing with Biden, saying that if he had said like we should look at the Wuhan lab, motherfucker said this back in like February of 2020. I have the clip right here. Watch this.
What I would do were I president now, I would not be taking China's word for it. I'd insist that China allow our scientists in to make a hard determination of how it started, where it's from, how far along it is, because that is not happening now. And we should be allowed to do that, and they should want us to do that because we have genuine experts who know how to confront these things. But we need to invest immediately. We should have done it from the beginning, the moment the virus appeared, but we're getting late. But we got good scientists, and I just hope the president gets on the same page as the scientists.
Okay, I don't know why I keep letting videos go for too long, but that was that's my error, not yours. Just letting everyone know that. But it gets better because Jay obviously referenced Maggie Haberman. This is what she had to say on CNN.
This matters. Understanding where coronavirus and how the pandemic began matters. A lot of the discussion about the lab leak, I think, was clouded early on because there was the suggestion by some that it was somehow a Chinese weapon that caused this. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a lab accident. But we've come a long way from people dismissing this as a conspiracy theory to a lot of people taking this seriously, Maggie.
We have, John. And look, I do think it's important to remember that part of the issue when this was first being reported on and discussed back a few months after the pandemic had begun was that then President Trump and Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, both suggested they had seen evidence that this was formed in a lab, and they also suggested it was not released on purpose, but they refused to release the evidence showing what it was. And so because of that made this instantly political. I think that it was, example 1000, when the Trump administration learned that when you have burned your own credibility over and over again, people are not immediately going to believe you, especially in an election year. However, that does not mean it's not worth discussing. There has been a sort of persistent, albeit relatively quiet, focus on whether that was the origin of the virus, and it is compounded by the fact that there have not been clear answers from Chinese officials about it, and that investigators trying to find out the origin have been stymied. So I do think we're in a different period of this, John, but I also think it's important to remember, because I think it's getting reframed in a way that's just not true to what happened. I don't mean here. I mean in this broader debate by Trump supporters about what happened when this was originally raised.
This bitch, this bitch, this bitch, this bitch, this fucking bitch, this fucking bitch, this bitch, this bitch, this bitch.
I had to end the video so I could actually hear what you were saying, because I'm watching you through the screen and you're just like cursing at the screen.
It's so fucking insane. Like, who the fuck does she think she's kidding? Who the fuck does she think she's kidding? And they turn around and say like, oh, the Trump administration learns that once you burn your credibility, then why the fuck are you guys and journalists? The journalists are less the public approval rate for journalists is less than Congress. They're like below shit. Like I trust a fart after Taco Bell more than I trust the words that come out of that bitch's mouth. That's how fucking low I trust these people with anything. With absolutely anything. He's like, oh, and when Trump supporters want to reframe, no, you dumb bitch. The facts are what are happening right now, all right, is that you guys were mouthpieces for China, all right, derailing any kind of discussion about it being released from a fucking lab, to now being like, oh, you know what, the facts are actually like this. We have to actually talk about it because of China. But you guys are fucking disgusting garbage, and everybody sees you for what you are. Maggie, you're a bitch.
First of all, just a lesson to all the Habibis: never trust a fart after Taco Bell. It's just how you can like. I know Jay says he trusts a fart after eating Taco Bell over Maggie Haberman. I'm just telling you. First of all, rules are never to trust a fart, but especially after eating Taco Bell and probably Chipotle. Never trust.
Well, true.
You don't want to risk that.
If you're given a choice.
If you were given the choice, please avoid. I mean, like I would say, yes, trust that fart over Maggie Haberman is what we're saying. So, the risk of sharding your pants, arguably better than trusting the words out of most of these journalists' mouths. In fact, they are probably spewing more shit 100%. Than your ass would be spewing after eating Taco Bell. So essentially. Okay, but obviously it gets better because this is what Dr. Anthony Fauci had to say in relation to being questioned by Senator John Kennedy about basically whether federal money had gone, U.S. federal money, I should say, U.S. federal taxpayer dollars had gone to the Wuhan Institute of Virology for this gain of function research, which I should stipulate, gain of function has many different, I wouldn't say many different, but a loose definition of gain of function is basically testing the virus to see its sort of potency to possibly use it in other scenarios, many of which have been suggested as a bioweapon. So here is that exchange.
Dr. Fauci, I believe you have testified that you didn't give any money to the Wuhan lab to conduct gain of function research. Is that right?
That is correct.
How do you know they didn't lie to you?
Excuse me, sir?
How do you know they didn't lie to you and use the money for gain of function research anyway?
Well, we've seen the results of the experiments that were done and that were published, and that the viruses that they studied are on public databases now. So none of that was gain of function. So
how do you know they didn't do the research and not put it on their website?
There's no way of guaranteeing that, but in our experience with grantees, including Chinese grantees, which we've had interactions with for a very long period of time, they're very competent, trustworthy scientists. I'm not talking about anything else in China. I'm talking about the scientists that you would expect that they would abide by the conditions of the grant, which they've done for the years that we've had interactions.
So you don't think the Chinese would lie to you?
Well, when you say the Chinese are a rather broad group. I know the scientists that we've dealt with have been trustworthy.
Mm-hmm. You think all the scientists have told the truth in terms of the origin of the Wuhan virus and not been influenced by the Communist Party of China, do you?
I don't have enough insight into the Communist Party in China to know the interactions between them and the scientists, sir.
Right.
Bullshit. I call bullshit because that's exactly what it is. It's bullshit. I think
yes, sir.
Dr. Anthony Fauci is trying to play off like he's dumber than he actually is. We all know he's not that fucking dumb. This guy probably has a very familiar grasp on how the Chinese Communist Party works. He probably has a very familiar grasp on how the World Health Organization works. I mean, he's been in government for how many years? At least 3-4 decades?
Since T-Rex was in office.
Since who? Ronald Reagan?
T-Rex. As in, like, the actual dinosaur. The guy's old as fuck. I don't know how he's still alive.
So that being said, like, Jay, I mean, first of all, he says there's no guarantee that the whatever money went to the Wuhan Institute of Virology didn't go to this gain of function research and they just didn't write it up. Of course, there's no way for him to absolutely know. But he's trying to pretend like it didn't happen. And he's trying to wiggle his way out of it and say, oh, there's no way that, like, you know, US government money could have, like, helped with building up this program within the Wuhan Institute of Virology that basically led to a year-long pandemic that killed over 3 million people. Like, it just so happens to have been at the foot of the American taxpayer. And they're going to start, and in an effort to get out of it, I can only imagine that the government is going to start blaming random American citizens like, hey, you pay your fucking taxes. This is technically your fault.
That would suck so hard, but I can see it happening. I mean, we pay taxes on a lot of shit that they would blame us for. I mean, but fuck, it's insane to watch, and it was funny to see him do it. Look, yeah, I know these are government employees of China, but they're scientists, so you can trust them. It's like,
yeah.
Do they know what scientists of these regimes have done in the past for us to be able to trust? Hell, even our own fucking scientists gave AIDS to people. So it's like, how the fuck are we supposed to trust people just because they're calling them scientists? No,
it's absolutely insane. No, and I just want to highlight I just want to highlight this one point from our good Habibi Steezy, who, in reacting to not this previous clip we just watched of Anthony Fauci, but with Maggie Haberman, in which he tweets, "It's incredibly telling as a journalist in America that you're more trusting of China's explanation than you are of a Republican. Maggie should be ridiculously embarrassed of this." And I should say that Dr. Anthony Fauci should be as well, in trying to basically tell us that, oh, they told me they weren't doing it, so I trust them at their word. That's basically how he's trying to wiggle his way out of this one too. But there's also another reason why everything in the media seems to basically go sideways, because you have reporters who are supposed to be completely unbiased, have their own. They basically incorporate their biases, or at least expose who they are, on Twitter. And that's, as I was pointing out earlier, how Twitter has basically ruined sort of like all pretenses of objectivity. You get this from Apurva Mandavili, a New York Times reporter, who, I don't know if you can all see that. Hopefully you can. It's not cut off. But she deleted it. She says, "Someday we will stop talking about the lab leak theory and maybe even admit its racist roots. But alas, that day is not yet here." And of course, Jay.
And also, what is her specialty in New York and for the New York Times?
Let's go check that out, shall we? Oh wait, I'm blocked. You saw it here first, Habibis. I am now blocked.
All right, but basically, when she wasn't under threat of attack from Siraj, she was the COVID-19 reporter for the New York Times. The COVID-19 reporter. That's her. That's what she's supposed to be reporting on, and she's trying to also mimic and spew this fucking Chinese propaganda. And you know what? What I think the Chinese government knows how to fucking play these dumb pieces of garbage, this dumb shit CRT cultists like a fucking fiddle. They know how to make them just manipulate the shit out of them. I don't think she's like doing propaganda for propaganda's sake. I just think she's that fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, it's one thing to be, and this is actually a discussion we're going to have in just a moment about another reporter, but I felt like this was a good segue here. When it comes to reporters, and obviously everybody has their own biases, I'm not completely objective. I can admit that. I was a commentary writer at the Washington Examiner. I made videos. I tried to at least fairly present things the way that I viewed them and try to call out things for what they are. Of course, I'm not going to be right 100% of the time, essentially.
100%.
I said 100%, so you got to say essentially, bitch.
You said essentially. So you said 100%.
I said essentially afterwards. I said essentially
so I have to say 100%. Now you have to say essentially again.
Oh, fuck me. We're getting extra hammered tonight. Anyways, so when you have reporters try to provide some sort of commentary in this regard, I don't think many of them realize that their commentary is actually coming from their own biases and not they think they're like spitting facts and therefore that is the truth for them and therefore it deserves to be tweeted. But I think that's really just for journalists who are so in their own heads and like are really full of themselves that they just do not see how they could be wrong about anything. And I get the sense from a lot of journalists in the industry that they really truly think that they're right about everything that they say, which is obviously very troubling because you know that's how you get into like a very bad pattern of not trying to grow, not trying to improve, not trying to become more educated on certain topics. If you're not obviously aware or can acknowledge where your faults lie, how can you possibly get better at your craft? And so I think a lot of journalists that come into this industry thinking they just know everything about it. And they know everything about their beat, if you will. And I feel like Apoorva is one of those people who is just like, yeah, this thing is racist, and even questioning like where the lab leak, even like mentioning a lab leak theory in Wuhan is racism. But I'm seeing a request here, and I'm sorry, Habibis, but I got to do it.
Got the vaccine, you got the vaccine, they got the vaccine, we got the vaccine.
Of course, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. Why would I be sorry?
Got the vaccine, you got the vaccine, they got the vaccine, we got the vaccine. We can get back to normal. Let me inform you. Let's all get the vaccine.
Yeah, so that vaccine song, it's we might play the end of the whole thing later, but I really want to use this time as Jay, I am a journalist. You are a shitposter on Twitter, just like me. I'm like a journalist turned shitposter on Twitter, if that makes any sense. So
an unemployed journalist.
Unemployed journo, self-employed journo. That's the thing. I switched. I went from being an unemployed journo to a self-employed journo, and that's how I started waking up earlier.
Not from the sound of your wife packing her bags.
Yeah, I can hear in the distance. She's zipping up that suitcase. Anyways, so I wanted to use Apoorva as a segue to this other reporter, Emily Wilder. Now, if you're not familiar with Emily Wilder, the only reason she really made news is because just this past week she was fired by the Associated Press. She's a 22-year-old Stanford graduate. She was fired for what she described as a witch hunt by conservatives who resurfaced her old social media posts critical of Israel, as well as her pro-Palestinian activism in college. Now, there is actually a clip here that we have from Democracy Now! I'm going to play just to give you an idea of how that whole thing shaked out. Here it is.
Last Monday, a group from my alma mater, the Stanford College Republicans, began to post online past posts that I had made on social media in an attempt to expose my history of activism for Palestinian human rights while I was an undergraduate at Stanford University, and in an attempt to link AP to Hamas. In the next 2 days, I began to receive a lot of harassment, a lot of pretty heinous harassment, as well as prominent Republicans on the internet began to lambaste me, including Senator Tom Cotton and Ben Shapiro. I was reassured during this time by my editors that I would not face repercussions for my past activism and that they just wanted to support me while I was facing the smear campaign. But less than 48 hours after the Stanford College Republicans began to post about me, I was fired. The reason given was a supposed social media violation sometime after I joined AP on May 3rd. I was not given an explanation for what social media policy had violated or what tweet had violated policy, and I still have not received an explanation.
Okay, so go ahead, Jay.
No, I'm sorry. I was just saying, what did Ben Shapiro
What did she
and
tweet?
Tom post about her? No, what did
I don't know. That's the thing. This is what's the weird thing
about
about it. I feel like I missed this story completely. I don't know if it had to do with because I had to deal with family stuff, or there was actually like legit outrage over this reporter's tweets and their pro-Palestinian activism. Now,
I don't.
Jay, are you? Maybe you can enlighten me. Has there been anything that you've seen from her on your timeline that shows that she has basically become the victim of cancel culture?
I didn't see anything. I didn't even see like what her tweets were about. I didn't see like nothing. I didn't see Tom Cotton tweet about her. Maybe I just missed it, but she completely flew over my head over any of that stuff. Like zero of it. I didn't see any of it. But I don't give a fuck. One less journalist. I don't care.
Well, this is what I say. I mean, like, obviously there's going to be differing sort of like, I think the evolution over cancel culture is that like everybody is going to be, like I feel like conservatives have obviously decried cancel culture, but I feel like there's going to be a part of that's going to be used to throw them back at the left for, saying things that are objectionable or things that have aged poorly. And do I think Emily Wilder should have been fired for her previous activism? No, I don't think she should have been, especially since it came before she actually was a reporter. Now, if she had actually tweeted something that was very objectionable during her tenure at the Associated Press, then it's up to the AP, and they have every reason to fire her. But I have not seen anything that really like says to me this person should have lost their job specifically for their activism. I'm seeing that some people have, I believe there's one tweet that she posted on May 16th, if I can bring it up. I don't know. Hopefully she didn't block me. No, she didn't block me. Let's go throw that up. And this is actually highlighted in a BuzzFeed story about her being fired. That wasn't the one. God damn it, Siraj.
Yeah, You got this. You got this.
I got it. Here we go.
But I mean, anyways. No, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna read out her tweet. She says, objectivity feels fickle when the basic terms we use to report news implicitly stake a claim. Using Israel but never Palestine, or war but not siege and occupation are political choices. Yet media make those exact choices all the time without being flagged or as biased. Now that tweet went viral. Now that is like the typical, like, maybe if that came from like a random ass college student who was not affiliated with the Associated Press, then that is a completely benign statement. But for an Associated Press reporter to tweet that, I think there is probably grounds
with her past.
Coupled with her past, I can probably see why the Associated Press fired her, because the Associated Press, for everyone who knows, their allegiance to Hamas will never be questioned. I'm just kidding. I was going to say the AP has had a long standing reputation of basically being like a wire service. Like it is the news provider for basically every other news outlet. So it's one of those things where if you have a reporter like Emily Wilder in your ranks, that taints the well, obviously, for that wire service. You can no longer, I think there are going to be a lot of outlets within the industry that no longer trust it. And obviously the AP has gone down quite a bit in the last decade or so. But this is just another example. I think the AP just had enough.
Well, they had to do it. But the thing is, the world of journalism has a lot of Israeli and Jew haters out there anyway. So I'm pretty sure she's going to get a job at the New York Times or over at the Washington Post with ease, with absolutely no problem with it. Well, if anything, they'll start clapping for her and saying, "Oh, you poor thing, come on in." And it's really, really hilarious that we're supposed to feel sorry for this person or think that like, oh, cancel culture is coming and all this kind of stuff. And as you said, if the AP has a standard that they have to keep, and she tweeted this tweet the way that she tweeted it, then they had no choice. It's like, for example, if I'm going to go work for Mercedes, but I'm putting BMW car signs on all of their cars, they're going to fire me. It's not like they're going to keep me there. I'm not there for that job. Like, that's not the job that the AP is supposed to be doing. So she could go work for Politico. She can go work for New York Times. She can go work for Washington Post. She will find another fucking job. This isn't cancel culture, and this little anti-Israeli fucking Jew-hating bitch will find it work with the New York Times.
I just want to highlight. I want to highlight one thing. Emily Wilder is also Jewish. I mean, it's not uncommon for there to be very pro-Palestinian Jews, but I'm just pointing out she probably doesn't hate Jews. She probably just loves Hamas.
I mean, you can find it. I mean, I've been called a race traitor. I've been called all that different kind of
stuff. Jay, opposites attract. It just happens, man.
Right. And she's kind of cute. So I don't know. Maybe hit me up. Give her
speaking of which, Jay, you seen that woman who killed her husband, that 224-pound woman who killed her husband with her buttocks?
I did. That guy died a legend.
Yeah, I feel like that is your ideal way of going out, is it not?
Oh, for sure. That is, I think,
essentially 100%.
Essentially 100%.
But on the bright side, right? She's single, so maybe you can have that same fate.
I just got to slide in the DMs.
I'm excited for you, Jay. Really am. Now, our final story of the night. We actually are doing pretty well in terms of timing here, because then we can open up to the floor and take some questions from the Habibis tonight. Our final story of the evening is obviously one that is sort of relates to everything that happened with Israel and Palestine. And it has been the rise of anti-Semitic violence in the United States as well as around the world, but specifically hate crimes targeting Jews growing in the aftermath of the violence in Israel and Palestine. And you can actually, you have the NPR at least acknowledge that there are hate crimes going on against Jews. And you have basically in Skokie, Illinois, there was a shattered window at a synagogue in Bal Harbor, Florida. It was four men yelling, "Die Jew," at a man in a skull cap, then threatening to rape his wife and daughter. And in Midtown Manhattan, it was a group of people attacking a Jewish man in the middle of the street in broad daylight. And this whole wave of anti-Semitic violence is sort of broken out. 193 reports of possible anti-Semitic violence were recorded, up from 131 a week earlier. And there have been a number of people who have made the list, particularly my own countrymen from Pakistan, who have basically justified the actions of Hitler. So if you think that's obviously a telling sign, you would be right. But I have to point out here, there's a couple things that obviously really, the reason why we're highlighting this in particular and why this is even a big deal, and I feel like I am actually going insane by having to highlight this, is that in the midst of condemning anti-Semitism, and I've had to do searches on this, okay? Not just of the tweets, because I've luckily had help, but people have kind of compiled this. But I've had to do like separate searches to find if there have been a wave of and a rise in anti-Muslim and Islam, anti-Muslim violence, anti-Muslim crime, Islamophobic crime. I haven't found any. But that didn't stop any politician from doing basically all lives mattering this whole thing. You have Bernie Sanders here tweeting, "We've recently seen disturbing anti-Semitic attacks and the troubling rise in Islamophobia. If you are committed to a future of equality and peaceful coexistence, please stand united against anyone who promotes hatred of any kind." Okay, that's number one. You can see that, right, Jay?
Yeah.
So you saw that? Okay. Then you have Ayanna Pressley saying, "I strongly condemn the rise in anti-Semitism and Islamophobia we're seeing across the country. Let me say it again. Our freedom and our destinies are tied. The struggle for liberation and justice requires all of us to reject hate and division in any form." And shout out, obviously, to Noam Bibi, Neon Bibi, our guest this past week, for putting this thread together. I don't think he knew we were going to use it, but here we are. Corey Bush, another member of the squad, tweeting, "The work of dismantling anti-Semitism, anti-Blackness, Islamophobia, anti-Palestinian racism, and every other form of hate is our work. We will only achieve collective liberation by leading with radical love. There's no room for hate of any kind in our movements for justice." Jamal Bowman, another member of the squad. "We've seen an increase in anti-Semitic and Islamophobic hate in New York City and nationwide. Hateful words, hate crimes, and other forms of violence. We must stand together to condemn hate." Julian Castro, "The United States must work toward a future in which Israelis and Palestinians can live in peace. Here at home, we must forcefully condemn anti-Semitic and Islamophobic attacks. Violence and hate only inspires more of the same." And then I hope I'm nearly done. Do I care about these other people? No, I don't care about these other people. So those are the main ones. And Jay, I just gotta point out, I have never I can usually get a good sense of when there's a rise of Islamophobia in the country and in the around the world. There has not been that. In fact, it has pretty much all been one way, and it's all been hatred and anti-Semitic violence directed towards Jews. How the fuck are they all lives mattering this shit?
They have to, because of their base. They have to all life matter it, because their CRT cultist mentality doesn't allow for it. They think that Jews are above the hierarchy of Muslims when it comes to oppression. They can't just condemn anti-Semitism because they feel like that is what is Islamophobic, is condemning anti-Semitism. These motherfuckers, these pieces of garbage, they actually think that it's part of Islam. They hate Jews. So they can't condemn anti-Semitism without condemning Islamophobia. That's non-existent. It doesn't exist. They cannot do it because their voter base that are wearing the kafayas around their fucking neck while they go and beat up Jews in the middle of the street are doing what they're doing. They can't condemn it because they will stop voting for them, and they can't have that. These people are cowards as fuck. You don't have people in yarmulkes going around beating up people with Palestinian flags. No, you have videos of kids with Israeli flags, getting it taken away from them, getting them punched in the face, sucker punched, kicked on the ground, having Jewish people scared to look Jewish in New York because of this shit. Nobody's doing anything to anyone who has a Palestinian flag or a kafeh around their neck or any of that kind of shit. So this enrages me even more because it's victimizing people who are the ones who are beat. It's like, for example, you have domestic violence from the NFL. The wife is being beat on the ground and everything, and they're coming in saying like, you know what, this NFL player had a bad grew up in a bad home and stuff. He's the real victim in all of this. It's shit because it's a similar. For me, that's a similar. What's it called? Like it's a similar issue. The reason why is because the NFL players millions of dollars in a fucking mansion, and they're pretending like he's a victim, while you have Palestinians on the street of New York of New York City beating up Jews and pretending like these are the real victims. It's mind-boggling to me. It really is, and it enrages me because it puts Muslims as the real victims on the violence that is happening here in America.
Elizabeth Warren tweeted, "Anti-Semitism has no place in our country or world, neither does Islamophobia. That means standing together and condemning all forms of bigotry and hate." She tweeted this shit yesterday, Jay, after the whole wave of sort of like them getting the memo and just tweeting all that shit out. I mean, at least to Joe Biden's credit, he only condemned anti-Semitism and never brought up Islamophobia, but that's just from what I heard. Okay, so
right, and I think that's from the tweet too.
By the way, there was another piece I want to highlight here from Michelle Goldberg of the New York Times, columnist, and this is how they basically framed it. I don't know if can you see that? All right, so it says the original headline is "Attack on Jews over Israel are a gift to the right." David Burge at Iowa Hawk Blog, go follow if you go check him out. Says, "I know this may be a controversial take, but perhaps the main problem with domestic street violence against American Jews is domestic street violence against Jews." And this headline got dunked on so hard that they literally had to change it to this: "The crisis of anti-Semitic violence." That's how you know you fucked up. You can't just call a spade. You got to make it about something that has completely no relation to what's going on in the real world. And they were going to try to get away with it. And I don't know if Michelle Goldberg, who by and large, who for the most part has been a pretty, I would say, dishonest voice in the media, just in general, but on this in particular, trying to basically paint that the only reason why this anti-Semitism is bad is because it helps out the right. That's why it's bad. Not because we're hating Jews. It's because it's only helping people on the right. Like, get the fuck out of here. That's just it's such dishonest bullshit. I can't believe people actually try to write that shit, pawning off as opinionated journalism. Fuck that.
Disgusting. It's disgusting stuff. And it's really funny because Jonathan, I think it's Jonathan Chiat or Jonathan Chot, whatever the fuck his name is, how he was like, "Oh, there's."
I like your pronunciation. I like your pronunciation better. I know what it is.
Jonathan
Do you want me to say it?
Yes.
Jonathan Banchod.
Boom.
Booyakasha. It's Jonathan Chait.
Yeah, how he was trying to frame it like that everyone's screenshotting the headline to dunk on Michelle, and it's like, no, you dumb fuck. We're screenshotting it to dunk on the New York Times. Who writes the headline? Because he's like, the piece was more nuanced, but like, okay, shut the fuck up. Who writes the headline? Some random fucker on the street, or a New York Times employee?
Yeah. No,
am I right?
Absolutely right.
I mean,
that's the thing. That's the thing about headline writers is that you never know. You never get a byline of the person who wrote the headline. This is the tweet. I'll pull it up right here. They
should have a byline on who writes the tweet, because it's not
Jonathan Chait. Jonathan Chait says right wingers are making truly stupid dunks on Michelle Michelle Goldberg by screenshotting her headline, hoping you won't read the piece, which clearly does not minimize the moral harm of anti-Semitic violence. It's just like point just went right over his fucking head.
Absolutely did.
So
the headline in it of itself diminishes the violence that Jews are facing.
Exactly. People aren't going to read that shit.
No.
They're not going to read it. The whole headline does a disservice to the piece, even if it was about condemning anti-Semitism.
Right.
So,
and that's why you're right. They need bylines of people who write that shit, and they need to be held accountable for shit like that. Because at the end of the day, this is published by the New York Times, meaning the New York Times was fine with that headline, and this is what they wanted to say.
I feel like 9 times out of 10, the reason why journalists get in trouble is because of the headline and not because of the actual story. That's how I truly feel, because like a headline really does tell. I hate to say it, but the headline really does tell the full story, and it's just garbage. Anyways, Habibis, I really wish Ernie was here. I'm currently in Florida, as you already know, and he is up in DC, so we're gonna have to bear the brunt of him not being here, at least for this week. I don't know if he'll be down this weekend. We'll see. But at the very least, on Habibi week, he'll be here, and that's why Jay's rocking the Ernie shirt. We also got a special promotion coming up for Habibi week. We actually got some special merch for all our Patreon subscribers. We actually have to do a couple of Patreon shout outs because we're a little bit late on that. So hopefully next week's episode, we will get to a Patreon shout out, and thank obviously all of you Habibis who have subbed to the Patreon, who've thrown your support in, and
who upgraded their subs.
You upgraded your subs. There were a lot in the last couple of weeks, and really appreciate your support. And obviously, before we get to our final segment, don't forget to tell your friends about the show. Don't forget to sub to to our YouTube channel. Even if you can't sub to the Patreon, at least check it. Help us out with the YouTube channel. That would be much appreciated. And that brings us to our final segment. Ask us anything. So, Habibis, go ahead. Ask us your questions. There have been a lot of things that have happened in the last 3 weeks that we've done since we've done an actual live show. So please go ahead and ask us anything. Let's see here. Anthony Rivera says, Jay, fall out of your chair again.
I will not do it.
Oh, shit. He actually did it. He does that shit on command. Amazing. Well done, Jay. Well done.
Anything for demigod Habibi.
Yeah. Spencer. Spencer says, how is Jay still sober? First of all, sex sacks. Jay, how are you still sober? Sacks. Eric Halverson says, do you guys have any thoughts on Jenner canceling on the Ruthless podcast? Holy shit. Caitlyn Jenner canceled on the Ruthless podcast?
I didn't hear that.
I didn't actually. Oh, man. You think it's actually going to be... I don't know if it's actually made a story. I don't think I've seen any headlines about this. I've been out of the loop. I'm sorry.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that's a big one. That would have been a good get. Jay, you just highlighted one. Sorry. Go back to it.
Yeah. I was just going usually my funny backgrounds are either for the cold open for the live show, or they're mostly during Patreon. The Patreon.
The premium. Yeah, the premium episodes. Because you have time. You have time. You have time to get those going.
Right. And also it doesn't just look like I'm going in the computer just looking for shit all the time. I'm trying to change it.
Because the news changes rapidly all the time. Jane Styles says, Jay, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking from from one of the Platinum Habibis sent me a Jefferson straight rye whiskey finished in cognac caskets. I've never had this bottle. It's actually really good. It's not that as high of alcohol volume that I'm used to. So it's not getting me drunk, but it's getting me nice and tipsy and warm.
Oh, very
I
nice.
like
Very
it.
nice.
And the cognac
I am
taste is really
currently kicking back an Angel's Envy. Bike Practicer, one of our demigod Habibis, actually got me a bottle. That's not this one. I have opened that one, so I basically got 2 bottles now. So we're gonna have a good time. Good time with that. Rico Roca says Siraj rips Celtics season, go Bruins. I basically gave up on the Celtics as soon as Jaylen Brown got injured and broke his wrist. So I'm okay. I'll be all right. Let's see. 11th Doctor says, Siraj, who's your favorite senator? Oh, that's a tough one. Let me kick it over to you, Jay. Who's your favorite senator?
Right now, would be Tim Scott. Favorite senator is Tim Scott. I like some of Tom Cotton. I don't like all of Tom Cotton.
You like his balls and shaft, right?
Right. What? No. Hold on. Hold the fuck on. No. So my favorite one right now would be would have to be Tim Scott.
Okay. I don't know if I actually. Oh my God, Jay. I actually don't know if I have a favorite senator. I've had senators that I've had on my podcast. I've had Mike Braun, Martha McSally. Who else? Kevin Kramer. Kevin Kramer is like shout out to Jake Wilkins, who a friend who helped set that up. He is. I'd say Kevin Kramer is like the nicest one I've gotten FaceTime with. I oftentimes find people from North Dakota or just the Dakotas in general to be pretty chill people. And for United States Senator, he was quite chill.
Well, they're very chill up there. They're the only people there.
I actually do not know Kirsten Sinema, but I was like trying to work the channels together on hashing it out, and that would have just been a fucking dream. Just to like, if I could stick it to Red Steez in getting Kirsten Sinema, that would be A1 tip top first class. You're too good. So we'll see. One day.
What is her at? What's her at?
Kirsten Sinema.
Uh-huh.
Look at the spelling on the screen. That's how you find it. The naughtiest senator, Kirsten Sinema. Yeah, but Robert Jeffers comes in and says Tulsi is a pretty one. She's also saying things that are good, but I don't trust her. Now, Tulsi is not a senator. Should she run for Senate? Absolutely. In Hawaii, she'd be miles ahead of Brian Schatz's pants, and then Mazie Hirono. Actually, I have to say, I'm actually quite impressed with how bad of a senator Mazie Hirono is. Like, she constantly is like shooting them messaging in the foot. So I'd have to say that Mazie Hirono, just for like being like, she's so bad she's good, that kind of level. So I'd say Mazie Hirono is my favorite senator just for that reason. Just like
because of how fucking
she
bad
is. Like, it's funny because like Republicans are not like good on anything in the Senate. Like I'd say establishment Republicans by and large. But then you have Mazie Hirono come in and being like, oh, I'm going to do this, that, and the third. And then all of a sudden you're like, actually, these Republicans are making a lot of sense. So that's kind of how I view Mazie Hirono. But yeah, Hawaii, not sending their best. I feel bad for them. Any event, Bart the Tree Guy says, if I'm a male Habibi, does that mean I have a Habibi? We can't say Habibi.
Sorry, we got to ban you. He's got to be banned.
Why? Why are we banning him?
because that was the worst. No, I'm just joking.
Okay.
It was like the worst dad joke.
Jay, I can't tell when you're serious because all the time we're just like making dick and fart jokes, and really the only time I know when you're serious is when you are ranting. Faye says, you read that question, but not mine. That's technically us reading your question, Faye. Although now I'm going to go find your question because you're going to definitely tell on me to Bubba. I'm looking for it, Faye. Just give me a moment. Sometimes these comments just fly in, and I can't always find them. Are you seeing it, Jay?
No, hold on. Let me show it to you.
Oh. Faye says, Siraj, why do you hate your Jewish viewer? The Jew BBs? Is it because of this?
What?
Hiya, Pfizer.
Hi, Ben.
You got any extra shots?
Sure, Ben.
Sleeves up.
I'm a Pfizer girl in a COVID world. I'm the classic, mRNA-tastic, 95%. There's no argument. Got no contagion with my vaccination.
Come on, Pfizer, let's go party.
With a mask on.
Come on, Pfizer, let's go travel.
Only if essential. Oh, we're having so much fun.
We'll have to do this again for my second shot.
Oh, I love you, Ben.
God,
she said no. Go up to the earlier question. So before
that. Okay, sorry, I'm looking for it, Faye. I can't find it. You're gonna have to ask it one more time, Faye, because it's like stopping me from going further up.
Yeah, it's stopping me too. For some reason, I can't go up any higher.
Yeah, go ask it one more time. Luckily, then there's no super chat, so let's see. Face it. God damn it, Jay. Says Siraj, I asked if you would alleviate the burden of your Jewish viewers by not wearing your pink shirt. The reason I'm wearing it is because it has the Habibi Bros logo, and I have worn I basically ordered a bunch of prototype shirts. And this is one of them, and I'm trying to not wear out my black shirt too much. So I'm waiting on more merch to come in. Basically, we have a redesign, so hopefully this is the last of the pink shirts, and you'll be, inshallah, redeemed. Yes, Jay, you have a question?
What's wrong with pink?
Nothing. I like pink. I like wearing pink.
No, I'm saying of your Jewish viewers by not wearing your pink shirt. Is it a Jew thing? It's not a Jew thing, right? It's just asking not to wear pink.
Rico Roca says it looks like salmon, which, if you're Jewish, it reminds you. If it looks like salmon, it reminds you of lox.
Jew thing. I'm sorry, guys.
You don't like bagels? Faye doesn't like bagels and lox.
I'm sorry. I honestly thought that today was something weird and like no pink for Jews or something like that. I was like, wait, what? Really? Like, I've never heard of this because it doesn't exist.
The 11th Doctor asked the impossible question of who is the greater Habibi, Prison Mitch or the fireable Ben? That's a tough one.
That is a tough one, and there's no ranking systems when it comes to this, but Prison Mitch. But because all the Habibis are equal, and honestly, Prison Mitch was probably Mitch, Cox, and Fuzzy,
Haas,
yes,
Dr. Richard Harambe, Mrs. Brassenstein.
But it started off with the three. It started off with
Pat
Cox
McMurphy
and Pat McMurphy.
Fuzzy,
these are the
Mitch,
original.
The OG memers. But then it grew, and it's grown to a very good size. Still, and somehow taller than Jay.
Oh shit! Now I feel like we have to. What's it called? We have to make a shirt now saying "No pink for Jews."
my God. Jay, if there was a way for us to get canceled.
I'm sorry. I thought I was going to have a learning moment for a second there, too.
Yeah. The spokeswoman for Code Pink is a self-hating Jew. I didn't realize that. Shivan asks Siraj, what do you think about Mac Jones and thoughts on Julio to New England? Wait, Julio's actually going to New England? Shut up. He's not going to New England. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with Mac Jones going to New England and being drafted by them. If Julio Jones actually gets traded to the Pats, I will probably lose my shit. So, Khalid says no shortage of Cox love on this show. Man, let's see.
So good.
Jen says you're literally listing all my friends and like no love.
Jen, we love
I
you,
do
Jen.
it out of, that's the thing, Jen, is I do this out of love. I do it out of love to save people from themselves. That's why that's why the list exists.
Did you get the boot, Jen?
Oh, from Twitter.
I think she got the boot.
Yeah. Chris Kinder asks, how many subs do you have to have for Super Chats? We need to have 1,000 subs and then 4,000 viewing hours to get to monetization. So we were getting close. It's happening. So I must be invisible to Siraj in the chat tonight. No, Nate, I saw you earlier. I don't know. I haven't seen, I haven't seen much of you, but I saw you earlier saying
I saw you earlier.
The 11th Doctor says, Jay, your refusal to wear orange is literally Hinduphobia against your beloved Indian Habibis. That's true, Jay. You gotta wear orange.
You know what's really amazing is that orange used to be my favorite color, and I used to wear a lot of orange, and then it became purple. Purple's now my favorite color.
Let's see here. What else we got?
We do need a website.
Blake says, Siraj, who is your favorite follower and why is it me?
That's like the whitest thing to say too. Like, and why is it me? That's like that's so white. Why is it him and not me?
Nate BB asks, he admits he's ignoring me. Danielle says Habibi Khan and with more than 2 weeks notice. Yes, we try to give you as much notice as we can. It's Habibi Boy Summer is on the horizon. Fuzzy says, Jay, when we meet up for drinks, are you going to wear something special for Fuzzy?
Your mom's pussy. The smell of your mom's ass is going to be on me. That's the special thing I'm going to wear for you, Fuzzy. The smell of your mom's ass.
Rom asks, what's up, Rom? Rom asks, Jay, do you think your Twitter account can make it through Habibi Boy Summer? I think it can.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. And if it doesn't, inshallah, like when I move as well, I'll be able to have another easy way to make another account.
Inshallah. Eric Halverson says, Jay, does your new place in the OC have a HOA with drone strike capabilities?
No, the new place I'm going to is going to be out of the OC, but luckily it's not going to. I wish it did. I wish there was drone strike capabilities to stop people from camping out in front of your places and shit. That would be nice.
The 11th Doctor says, which one of you is whiter? Definitely Jay.
Maybe a little wider. I mean, I think we're both on the same level of white. We really
look how dark that is, and also why do I have a bug bite on my arm?
I mean, it's darker than me, that's for sure. Even though, look at that, I got like a little tan. I was working outside all day today, so I got a little tan.
Oh, isn't that cute? Dan from last night says, Siraj, will you ever get good at Rocket League? I'm better than you, Dan. What are you talking about?
Look, but honestly, if Siraj and I were on the same skill level as we are when eating your mom's ass in Rocket League, we would be in like the top tier, platinum, gold tier.
Siraj is the whitest account to follow. Just saying, facts is facts, says Jen. Blake says, Siraj ignored my question. What a loser. I love all my Habibis equally. Jay, I love you the most. Jay, I love you the most. Bart the Tree Guy says, do you only play PC games on stream? No, we play. Well, Jay plays PC and that's it. I play PS5 and Xbox.
I do have Xbox and PS and the PlayStation. I am just waiting until I can move, and then I'll have my own game room, and then I'll be able to have all of it attached to everything. Right now, I just don't have enough room. You can't see it, but I'm still in the closet. Wait, I'm not in the closet.
No. Oh, you just came out. Oh, you're making history by coming out of the closet. Congratulations, Jay. Congratulations, Jay. You have
just
to
in time
be
for Pride.
Yeah.
Just in time for
It's
Pride.
just in time for Pride. Alhamdulillah. And sorry, Jay, I'm gonna have to throw you off the roof now.
Yeah.
And stone you. Anyways, Harkarat says, Siraj, you ignoring me as well, Lib. Yes? I don't know. That's just everyone says I'm ignoring them. I can't answer every single question. No Cal says Siraj can't even talk anymore. That's actually always been true. That's how
it's always been.
That's an evergreen statement. Let's see. 11th Docker said the urn is the true answer. That's true. He's the one I love the most for sure. 100%. I said 100%, Jay.
Essentially. Sorry. No, I was just thinking, if you don't mind, to go real quick to one of my tweets on Warrior Walt.
All right. Oh yes, good call. Well, let's pull that up. You mean the one you definitely did not the one you left up, right? Not the
yeah, the one, not the one I deleted, please, because that was a
wholly unfortunate way of phrasing, but
phrasing the tweet. Because the funny thing is, I reread the tweet 3 times, and in my head, it's like it's hit. I read it hit, but it went out as get. So that was really bad. That was not good.
Yeah. It could have been really bad, but it's you with a name like Ass Lickin', you're okay.
Right.
But we're actually highlighting your mom's tweet. Look at little Walt. Look how cute he is. Anyways,
really
little Walt, he recently had a brain bleed and required surgery, and that led to a seizure. He's still fighting with that sweet smile and strong spirit. He's being transferred to Seattle, and the family could use some help with the moving expenses, and every bit counts. And they have a Facebook donation page. I'll just drop the tweet for you all in the chat, and I'll include a link in the actual description of the video. You guys go ahead and check it out.
He's actually fighting against neuroplasma cancer. Okay. And that's where the bleed came from. And I have the GoFundMe right here on my tweet. And now, the unfortunate thing about this is when I wrote this, I wrote, his smile always hits me hard because it's such a cute smile. And that's how I meant to write it. But the original tweet, and thankfully Habibis came and told me about it, is that I wrote, by mistake, his smile always gets me hard. And people are like, oh, you want to rephrase that? Oh, this is not good. Oh, bro, I'm calling the FBI. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, what? What are you saying? And then I reread it 3 times so I could actually read gets in my head that I wrote because it was so bad. And I felt so horrible. So I had to like change it up.
Jay,
completely.
why does it show that I don't follow you?
What? Are you serious?
No, I definitely follow you.
Okay, you follow.
That was a weird glitch. There you go.
maybe because I'm banned for being a pedo now.
So Jay, I love how this all sort of took place, because literally you could not ask for a more unfortunate way to phrase a very heartfelt tweet, and all of a sudden you have the FBI called to your house.
Just coming right. Robert Jeffries. Speaking of Habibis, oh God.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was. And then Nate Baby comes through and says, maybe it's time to call it a night, Habibis. Nate is just mad I've ignored him the entire show, and then I highlight him at the end. I'm just kidding, Nate. I didn't ignore you. I just, honestly, I was actually really focused on trying to get the information to you all, because it's been 3 weeks since we've done the show, and I feel like I'm a little bit rusty right now. That being said, I am feeling quite good right now. You want to know why? Because it's Habibi Boy Summer, and
we're starting it.
Yeah, yes. We're starting it. So, so Jay, next time you're ever gonna write a serious post, please ping me first, so that the FBI definitely does not come to your house next time.
Inshallah.
So, unless there's anything else, Jay, you got anything else that you want to say?
No, Habibis, just make sure that you guys are freed up for our little Habibi Con and Habibi Power Hour and Habibi Happy Hour on the week of the 9th or 7th, and especially that Friday. And we're going to let you know. I told Siraj to pick out the bar, so we know it's going to be some white hipster DC journal joint. So
I'm gonna aim for not that. I would like very much to never be in one of those establishments. So we're basically going to Bubba's house.
Oh, your dad's gonna love that.
Oh my God, we're just having a rager in his living room.
He's gonna start converting a couple of people in Islam.
Inshallah. He never stop. Shoot or shoot, right?
Shoot or shoot. They never stop.
They never stop. So Habibis, thank you so much for joining us tonight. As always, Jay and I are largely supported by our Patreon. We do have free episodes every Wednesday, but the only way that Jay and I can keep doing this is through the support of the Habibis through our Patreon. So we really appreciate it. If you wanted to give us, $5 gets you access to every single premium episode behind the paywall. And even just that is enough to help sustain us. And we really appreciate it. We can obviously be a little bit more, I would say, rambunctious on the premium. We also like to invite guests to join us on the premium episodes because, we want to make sure that they feel comfortable too. So thank you again all so much for joining us. And Jay, as always, love you.
Love you,
Habibis. For the Habibi Bros, I'm Siraj Hashmi.
I'm Jay Kobbe.
And this is Habibi Power Hour. We'll see you next week on Wednesday night. Another free Habibi Power Hour Wednesday night live stream. Peace. Masalama.